So this morning we've got such an exciting talk. This is going to be really brilliant on how these companies and talent are evolving to stay ahead. And when we talk about at South by, you'll hear from industry pioneers. This really is it. We're going to hear from Grace Campbell, who I'm sure is a face that lots of you will recognize, comedian. She's got an incredible podcast called Late to the Party. David Page, who's the CEO and founder of Future, who has really deep expertise in financial and tech. They help their creators optimize revenue. Alex Segal, who's the MD of Intertalent, which is a leading talent agency, and he's also got a fantastic Substack called Dealmakers, which you should check out. And the talk is moderated by Liam Parkinson, who's the creator and co-founder of Inflaverse, who went from creator to insider, who really is going to be able to give you a full picture of the industry. So without further ado, I'll introduce our panel.
Hi everyone. Hi, can you hear me okay? Welcome. We're at a pivotal moment in the story of talent. A decade ago, if you was a creator, artist, athlete, your path to success depended on access. Access to brands, access to publishers, access to agents, media and money. You had to be chosen. Gatekeepers decided who got a shot and who didn't, but that dynamic has flipped. Today's most successful talent don't wait to be chosen. They build. They build brands, they build audiences, they build companies. And in many cases, they're the CEO, CMO, product, distribution, and voice, all in one. And as that shift accelerates, agencies, platforms, investors, and media groups are forced to evolve too. The old model of control and commission doesn't hold up when the power dynamic has changed. This panel is about that shift, where it's going, what companies need to do to stay relevant, and how talent can take ownership without burning out. I'm Liam, the co-founder of Inflaverse, the go-to solution for getting agencies and creators paid faster. I'll be your guide in the conversation today. In a moment, I'll let each of our panelists introduce themselves, but before we dive in, I want to leave you with one question. If the most successful talent are now businesses, what does it take to partner with them and not just profit? Grace, would you like to take us away with an intro?
I would just like to first of all say I'm having such a bad hay fever day, so I sound like this. So if I sneeze, I'm not ill. I don't want you to think I have COVID or anything. I'm Grace Campbell. I'm a comedian and filmmaker and podcaster. Does that suffice?
Correct.
Okay.
Alex?
Hi guys, I'm Alex Segal. We represent Grace Campbell. And I am the managing director of Intertalent, which is one of the top entertainment talent agencies in the UK. Got a team of about 50 people, 50 agents, and about 300 clients overall across sort of 10 different things that we do. And as someone very kindly said, I do have a Substack called Dealmakers, which I'd love for you to check out at some point.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm Dave Page, founder and CEO of Future. We are a financial services provider for content creators across different platforms, providing creators with growth capital to allow them to scale their business.
Amazing, thank you. So I think jumping right into it, the creator as a company, I think is a great place to start. And Grace, you've got your podcast, your book, you're a fantastically accomplished comedian, filmmaker, writer, and presenter.
Thank you.
You're welcome. When did you realize you were more than just a singular comedian, that you were a brand or even a media company?
I don't know, I think probably the internet has such a big part to play in that, because when I started doing stand-up, like 8 years ago, it was pre-TikTok, kind of, I think it was actually, and so a lot of stand-ups really frowned upon comedians who posted on the internet, because it was sort of seen as a bit like cheap or tacky, but I was like, well, I don't care, I'm just gonna do it. And then that's when I realised that like you can do comedy in so many different forms, and the more you grow online, the more tickets you'll sell to physical shows. And then but I don't know, because that question, I'm like, I'm not sure, but it's, I think I just sort of like to think that everything I do is consistent in my kind of style and what people expect me to do, and that can be across any kind of like format.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned coming from the traditional side of comedy into the digital space. What is the trade-off now between how valuable is that digital element to your arsenal?
I mean, it's invaluable, and that's why I think I've had the success as a stand-up that I have. Obviously, people hopefully like coming to watch me live, but they come because I grew online quite a lot. Sort of during COVID is when it started. So it's invaluable, but, you know, those two things have to go together, and I think, like, we talk so much now about AI. The one thing that I hope AI can't take away is like people's desire to go and watch live shows. That will hopefully never go. So I always want to be trading off of stand-up. But the internet is just an amazing string to your bow when you're doing, anything creative.
Absolutely. And I think that ties into well with what is something that you think most companies still don't understand about talent, creators, that space?
Oh, God. Well, I think, honestly, because I'm with Intertalent now and I'm really happy and I've never felt so supported, to be honest, in my career so far. And so I think all I've ever wanted is to feel really, like, cared for and kind of, like, three-dimensionally looked after in a holistic way. I talk about so many traumatic things in my stand-up. Like, my last show was about an abortion, and I've definitely worked with people in the past who have just not treated that with the duty of care that it deserves. And so for me personally, that's what I would say is like talent, like, you know, they're putting themselves in vulnerable positions a lot of the time. Like, you're putting yourself on the internet. I've had various cases with stalkers. It's not like, you know, it's great and it's fun and you make money, but I don't feel safe sometimes. And it's working with people who make me feel safe is like the most important thing for me.
Absolutely. And Alex, you're at the pinnacle of talent management. How are agents evolving? We see so many variations of management across the creator economy, from simple deal brokers all the way to, I guess, you guys, a full service stack.
Yeah, I think that when you have a talent agency, no matter how big or small you are, you have to decide what kind of agency you want to be. And I think our feeling is that as distribution is widening at such an extreme pace, you either be ahead of it or you fall behind. And from our point of view, you know, we've gone from maybe 3 divisions about 5-6 years ago to about 10, covering all sorts of things. Because my feeling is that talent no longer just want to do one thing. They want to do lots of things and try it all and take risks. And they're looking to their agency to be able to have experience in that and knowledge in that and cover that. And I think that's really important for us, because I never want to find a moment where we can't service something that a talent wants to do. For me, that's just unacceptable. So we, you know, if our clients are running at 100 miles an hour, of which they all are all the time, wanting to explore different things, we have to have the ability to be ahead of them, to be going at 110 miles an hour, to make sure that we know more than them. You know, we're their advisors, they're looking to us. So I think that has rapidly changed in 5 years. And as I say, we've gone from 3 things to 10 things. As to what we cover in our company. And not everyone wants to do everything, and some people want to, you know, do comedy and act, some people want to be gamers, some, you know, it doesn't matter what they want to do. I'm very proud that we have to do that, but I think you have to set out at the beginning who you are as a company. The other thing about that is that some industries rise quick and some can fall quick and come back up again, and you never want to leave yourself exposed to not being able to service something, you know. So, you know, I think for us, we never, you know, ultimately a client wants to feel supported, and I'm so pleased that Grace does with us, because if they don't, they will leave and find somebody that will support them. So for us, it's really important that I think our team have the ability to have a personal management with our clients, but also have the ability to go as far and as wide as they do.
Absolutely, and I think with the vast amount of opportunities available to talent at the moment, I think a really interesting thought is expectations. Now you have an actor that maybe wants to go into gaming, do a book, whatever that may be. How do you manage those expectations in a sensible way?
I think managing expectations is a key thing as to what we do. I think, you know, our clients aren't looking, I really hope our clients aren't looking for us just to agree with them all the time. You know, we have to give good news and bad news and disagree when we have to. I think if they have the genuine ability to pivot from one thing to the next, we're going to promote that and actively probably push them as hard as they're pushing themselves. We want that. And if we have a team that can do that, then it's about collaboration between the divisions. We represent the client no matter what they're doing, and we're proud of everything they do, whether it's in that division or in that division. But I think what's really interesting, I think, in the last 5 years is just how eclectic talent are nowadays. Maybe it's because distribution was much smaller back in, even 10 years ago, where it was just TV, film, radio, theatre. Like, it was just a set of things. Now, even your own social media is your own channel, right? Things are just growing at such a rate. So I think it's just about collaborating with them and ensuring that that if they feel excited and empowered to proceed into an area, that we're with them every step of the way. And if we feel like they're going into an area where we maybe shouldn't go into, we have to just give that advice. Ultimately, they're the team captain, right? We build a team around each client, but they're the team captain, and we have to manage expectations, but also, it's not us telling them what to do or what not to do. It's us giving advice, which is what they pay us for, and they then steer the ship from there.
Absolutely. And Grace, is it still possible to only be a singular comedian, or is that officially over?
No, I think I think that is definitely over. And like Alex said, the more agile you are in kind of, evolving and trying out different things, I really think the more successful you will be. Like, sticking to one form of traditional media now is a stupid idea if you want to grow. And it's about being really flexible, being very ambitious, trying new things, accepting that they might fail, but knowing that, you learn sort of something from doing every single thing, which is why, like, with my podcast, I own the IP. I fund it. I funded the start of it myself because I wanted to see what it was like for me to run a business, to actually produce as well as be, the interviewer in it. And that's been such an interesting journey, and I've learned so much from doing that. So I think it's about being ambitious, accepting that some things aren't going to be a walk in the park, but definitely not sticking to one thing.
Can I just add on that? I think taking risks is the important part. I think your client, your talent, will take more risks if you enable them to take risks. If you give them the confidence to try something, and we try things. We open divisions not knowing whether they're going to succeed or not, and our clients take on these things not knowing whether they succeed or not. But I think you have to do that and not be scared to fail. If it fails, we'll park it, we'll move on. But you've got to go through all those things to then find the thing that really works. And so I think that taking risks is really important now, and being brave, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think talent now is starting to get more and more involved in making those decisions, like Grace, you said, funding your podcast. Dave, you're actually starting to fund creators like they are startups. What are the ways in which you're deploying capital, and how are the next wave of creators actually thinking like businesses?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think it's very consistent with what these guys are saying. It's this continuous pursuit of improving their product. With engagement, the normal sort of case study of people that come to us is saying, right, I've realised that I've made some content that's engaging with the audience. I'm engaging with them on a level which they're interacting with me, they're following me, they're subscribing with me, they're constantly following the information, the content that I'm producing, and I've realised this is working. So now, like in any business, in any industry, how do I scale this thing? How do I actually improve it to a level in which I can turn it into a business? That's a common theme with people that come to us. It's, how do I get access to capital that will allow me to do that? Because, you do have to take some risks, and you do have to back yourself. You are running a business. So, I'll give an example. There's an American guy that we do work with. He's on the YouTube platform. A guy called Cody. He's a fanatic around automobiles. He did some stuff where he was doing some engineering with cars, and then started doing some stunt shows, and everyone loved it. It took off. He started getting amazing views on his socials. He came to us. He got with a great agency to help him. I'm sorry, Alex, not your one. There are others. I'm sorry. He came to us and said, look, here's my plan. I want to produce more content. I want to improve the quality of what I'm doing. So he hired some people. He hired a production company. He had some creative designers for his suites and his show sets. And he started doing really weird and crazy stuff, which completely took off and went viral. He's now blowing up supercars. It's crazy. So, we were at the point in his career where we could help and support him by giving him access to capital to do all of those great things because he wanted to improve the quality of his product.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're deploying capital across many different verticals in the creator economy. How do you think that's going to change over the next couple of years, and what are the ways that you're seeing people using the money essentially that you're giving to them?
Yes, there's some really interesting trends at the moment actually going on from everything, again, the guys have said, can I go multi-platform, can I go into different areas? And there's a bit of a shift between traditional media stars, so TV, sports, personalities, Hollywood, film stars, that are wanting to come onto their own social platform, create their own audience, where they actually own their IP, because that's really important. They've been used to being in an environment where they're part of the IP. Now they can own the IP. So we've been asked to do some, amazing projects to support some of that transition into social. And then the other way around, we're involved with some, very high-profile talent that have been able to do some movies and some documentaries where they can take the funding from us to pay for that and the big production costs that align with that, and be able to sell that to streaming platforms, as Netflix and the like. So there's a shift between people wanting to come on to media platforms and then others that want to, move into the other direction, but needing capital for that. So, some interesting tailwinds. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it was an interesting point there you made about creators actually being able to own the IP themselves. Alex, talking of that, how are agencies rethinking representation when creators now come with leverage, audience, incomes? Is there a sweet spot between creative freedom and commercial viability?
For sure. I think that, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we weren't talking about IP as much as we are now. I think it's so important for our clients to build from within and build, something they can own. And I think that's changed how we represent them as well. I think 10, 20 years ago, agents were obviously doing a lot, but we weren't probably as much a partner as we are now. I think now I see ourselves not just as someone's agent, but as their creative partner, and working towards creating value for them long term. I think we can no longer, given how the industry is shifting so rapidly, as I say, things rise, things struggle. We're seeing that in TV right now. We're seeing that in scripted right now. I think owning something is an absolute game changer, and if talent aren't thinking in those terms, they're going to struggle, at some point. So I think that's really important. I also think that we have to be creative in a way that we didn't have to be previously. Let's say we have to make our own success now, and we have to ensure that. But in terms of weight and power of a talent, I think that it's for us. It's no different from representing a big Hollywood star, acting star. I've represented Vinnie Jones now for 13 years, and Vinnie's name holds weight and power. So when it comes to doing things that he feels there's authenticity and credibility in, we've been doing that the whole way through. What's interesting now is that is shifting from Hollywood names and big star names to big creators, and I think people who are accepting of that, are going to get in early and can work with us on that, and people that want to run away from that, thinking that they're not talent or they're not good enough or whatever, the train's already left. And so for us, we deal with our big creators in the same way that we deal with our big actors or our big TV presenters or whoever. If their name holds weight, it allows you to take more risks. It allows you to hold on to ownership and hold on to their credibility more. But at the end of the day, whenever we do a job with anyone, it's a partnership. The last thing you want is to get to the end of a negotiation and feel like somebody's won and somebody's lost. And I think that happens far too often. Because then you've got to go and work with each other. You then got to go and have a good time working, and it's not going to be a good time if you've already beaten them to, within an inch of their life at the beginning. I think, you have to know what's right and know that if a client of yours holds weight, whether they're an actor or a creator or whoever, that you don't lose what makes them them, because ultimately the end result's not going to work anyway. So as long as we can get to a place where we feel like we have protected our client well, then we'll be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've spoken a lot about opportunities so far in this panel, and I think risk is a word that does continuously keep coming up. Would you say creators are more inclined to take risks than your sort of traditional?
100%, definitely. I I think they're more used to it. I think they're more used to platform hopping. They're more used to embracing new. I think traditional talent are getting there, but they've been so used to such a certain way of working for such a long time that it does take some people a lot longer than others, and maybe they just don't get there in the end. What we have to do as their advisors is to continue to educate them. They're looking to us to show them the right way through, and it's up to us to educate them on different paths to take. But yeah, I think younger people, I think creators in general are just, I don't know, they're savvier. They're a lot more savvier to what's going on, and I think they understand the business a lot better already, which is quite scary. I'm seeing younger people understand business way more than some traditional talent ever have done. And that's really impressive. But again, as their partner, as their agents, you need to understand it even more, because ultimately they're paying you for that service, and they expect you to have even better ideas and even better thoughts than they have. But it's been quite a scary change in 5 years as to how smart young people are in navigating this world. But it just pushes you even more, makes you more ambitious as a company to really sort of be there with them along the journey.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Grace, what drove you to make strides outside of comedy, your podcast, your book?
Well, before I did stand-up, I went to film school. I went to an art school at London College of Communication. I did a filmmaking degree. I always wanted to be a director. And then someone was like, oh, you should try stand-up. You have really good comic timing. Obviously not right now because my nose can't get any oxygen through it. So I tried stand-up and then became very addicted to it and have a very obsessive personality and just got really addicted to the thrill of it. But really what I want to do is make films, and that's what I'm working towards at the moment. And I'll always do stand-up. I think that's one of the things that when I say that to some people, they're like, but that you're like a stand-up. And I'm like, well, I just do not think in that way, because now, and the woman who introduced us spoke about Issa Rae, who was like one of my kind of heroes. Issa Rae is amazing writer, performer, director, also produces, has her own company. She's a big inspiration for me. She's taken so much power, given so much sort of work to so many people. And a lot of it has been in her creative control. And I think that's the main thing that I really want to always maintain. Having worked with TV at points, love television in this country at the moment is quite tricky. And then I felt sometimes I don't have control when it's my idea and my IP, and then it feels like slowly, bit by bit, that gets taken away from me. So it's about really just trying to maintain as much of that control in anything that I do, which is why it's been so interesting listening to you guys talk about everything.
For sure. And I think in a space that's moving sort of faster than people can keep up with, Dave, what do you see on the future horizons for content, and how do you think creators will take more ownership when it comes to their IPs?
Yeah, I think it's similar to what I was saying earlier. It is that I think traditional creators are thinking about how they can widen to a different audience. So moving from traditional social media into more traditional TV, film audiences. I think that's definitely happening. That's really interesting. And I think the flip to that is traditional TV is struggling. Alex just said it is. It's as a viewing audience, people are needing to move across and find different pockets of audience or be themselves. We do a deal with a couple of very famous TV stars in the UK. They want to go on a YouTube channel so they can be themselves. So, can they do cooking? Can they play golf? Can they do wine tasting with their friends? They don't have that freedom, the control, the IP they have on traditional media. So that gives them the platform to be able to do that and really, have a much more real experience with their fans.
Yeah, for sure. And Alex, how are you future-proofing your teams? I think we've discussed AI is going to be probably very prevalent over the course of this week. Does it play into what you're doing? Should you be worried about being replaced by AI? What's your play?
We're embracing it 100%. I think anyone who doesn't is crazy. The train's already left. Either you're on it or you're not, and those who aren't going to embrace it are going to be left behind very quickly. How we embrace it is, I guess, the big question, and I think that we have to do it in a way that feels ethical and feels right for what we do and for the kind of talent we represent. But look, in terms of future-proofing us, I don't think AI can replace taste or creative vision or gut instincts or networking and relationships, which is a big chunk of what we do as talent agents, I don't think that's... I think for as long as there's talent, I think they'll need a partner in crime, and that's us, and I don't think that's AI. However, in terms of how we use it to make ourselves better, we're doing that. You know, we're embracing it and utilising it in the ways that we think is correct for now. Do I see us having an AI division number 11? Yes, I do. When or what that looks like is going to be the question. You have to go sensitively at this point in time. But as long as we're using it to enhance what we're doing and what our talent are doing, to allow them to run further, to do better, to grow bigger, then we're going to be there. I can't see a world why you would ever want to ignore it. I think that's just crazy right now. So for us, it's definitely something that we talk about a lot. And we're taking, I guess, smaller steps because it is a bit of a scary world and a bit of an unknown world, and we take risks, we do things, but timing's important as well. But yeah, for us as a talent agency, having a AI division will probably be a no-brainer, for everyone probably be a no-brainer in 5 years, so why don't we try and do it sooner than that? That's how I always think anyway. Yeah,
absolutely. And Dave, with all of the financial models and metrics that you guys have to review in order to make a deal, how do you see AI or technology playing further into your arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, AI is just an expression, right? So I would argue that we've been using AI over the years already. So, you know, my team and what we do is very data analytical focused and building very predictive models based on past events. That's kind of what AI does and will help you in a business. So I think lots of businesses are embracing it naturally already and shouldn't just go and get het up on, you know, the expression of we have to have AI in our business. It's you know, it's real, it's daily life, it's part of what we do. So from a creator's perspective, it will definitely help their world. So you know, it can't, like Alex says, it can't replace them. It can't take out that live interactive experience that is crucially important with their audience. But can it help modify their content in a way which is more predictive of what people want to see? Yeah, absolutely. It can definitely help that as a tool. And, you know, make that their topic is interesting, engaging for their audience.
Absolutely, and I think that sort of segues nicely into sort of the last question that we'll give to the panel, and then we'll open up and see if there's any questions that anybody wants to ask. So, Grace, we'll start with you. What's the future move talent or companies can make today?
Well, can I answer on behalf of talent?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think for me, it's just like understanding everything that's going on to a degree that I won't ever look back and think, oh shit, I was like mugged off by that. So it's about just understanding. It's like Kim Kardashian becoming a lawyer. I keep using this example, but like, she's not my hero, but it's a good example of like, I would like to understand like contracts and the things that I'm signing to a better degree, which is also why ChatGPT is amazing, because I ask him all the time. I call him a man. He's God to me. So yeah, I think just knowledge is power, and that's my big thing at the moment, is just trying to learn more and not just be, you know, I started doing stand-up when I was 22 and I was really young and sort of you know, I'd be like, oh my God, amazing, anyone wants to work with me, I'll just sign whatever, like on the dotted line. And now I need to be a bit more reserved and just take a bit more control back. So that's my main thing, and I would advise that to like all talent.
For sure. Alex?
Can I just say on that, I think that I would thoroughly embrace talent being more understanding and educated in what they're doing, because I think that's really important. We wouldn't be scared by that, if you know what I mean? Because some agencies might be like, oh God, that's what I do, not what you do. But I think when you go into things, it's really important to be as knowledgeable as you can be. I think from my point of view, diversify is the key. I think just doing one thing, even 2 or 3 things now, is too little. I think that's the same for agencies, it's the same for talent. I think you never know what's going to come or disappear tomorrow. So I think to continue to grow and to continue to succeed, you need to diversify as much as possible, take risks as we're talking about, try things. We've tried so many things that we had no idea what we were doing on day one, but you just have to and you get there. So yeah, for me, it's diversifying how we do things, who we do them with, all of that. Yeah.
Amazing. Dave?
Yeah, agree with both of these comments. I think it's imperative that they own the IP, so own control. That's so important. So make sure you own what content you produce, and then just get really good people around you that can help you and support you and direct you and help you through the times where you don't have to do all of the roles. Like Grace said, you need to have a good understanding of what's happening. That's really important. But get good people around you that can execute on the plan, that can give you the right advice at the right time, and definitely take risks, diversify, build out new products, transition from being a creator to a brand. Some of the big moves that happen at the moment, people like Do Perfect now they're trying to copy Mickey Mouse going to Disneyland. They're doing the same thing. It's incredible that it can be done. They own, because they now own their IP, they're able to do that. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, as a moderator, I thoroughly enjoyed that, so I hope everyone did as well. Does anyone have any questions for the panel?
I've got two. One for you. How much does talent matter?
Say again, sorry?
How much does talent matter today in talent agencies?
As in how talented people are, or in what?
Talent as an aspect.
More than ever, I think that we're looking to work with the most creative people out there, and I think talent matters hugely. I think when people are looking at what to buy, what to believe in, they're looking for guidance. They're looking for people who can. They're looking for people who they can trust, and I think that comes from talent. What the talent is, who knows? It could be all sorts of things. You could be in news, you could be in current affairs, you could be in it doesn't matter. I think the authenticity comes from that, and then believing in them comes from that. And I think the talent are needed more than ever. There's so much going on in the world that I think believing in people and believing in people that you care about and who you see and who are a shining light is really important. So for us, representing talent has never been more important to what they can do for the world right now. And we're always pushing our clients to do good and to stand for something. I think having talent who don't stand for anything is a really difficult person to work with, I would say. So yeah, for me it's important that we have talent who stand for something, I would say.
The other one is to both of you. Considering there is a shift on it, so before we're moving from a traditional way of doing things in general to a more less traditional, with the creator economy being a consequence of it, and therefore talent agencies at the moment are putting the and cater to their clients in a way that they can supply their independence. I read on Substack the questions that I want to ask to you two and see what you have, because it is very important to me, and it is: who's going to build a service layer for the creator economy overall? Is going to cover it all, not just journalism and therefore going the directions or whatnot. And the reason why I'm asking this is because I'm building a technology, and I think I have an answer to that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because it is kind of disparate systems, different processes. I think your earlier question, I think social media is kind of, to me, it's not the creator economy anymore. It's kind of this is a media economy now, right? So it's developed much more than anyone expected it ever to happen. So you're right, it's quite a disparate bunch of systems and processes which aren't consolidated in a way in which you can see across different ways. For us, we're all about data, how we make good informed decisions, and some platforms are very much more sophisticated and advanced than others. So our opportunities or our services we can provide to creators is more, sometimes can be limited based on data, which is annoying because we want to help and support them, but now to see the data is important. So yeah, I think there needs some of that. There definitely needs an amalgamator, sort of, a platform in the middle that can more so think about the data and how that can be centralised and used across different platforms.
I'll just say that quickly. I think we're in the audience business and the content business. It doesn't matter if you're a content creator, a stand-up comedian, a gamer, an actor. You're trying to find an audience. You're making content for an audience. At the moment, distribution is going all over the place. It's totally widespread. It's more. It's been it's everywhere, and I think that's a great thing. Do I see a world where it all comes together? and becomes more connected, yes, I think it has to happen. I think it's a cycle of life. Things go out, they come in, and they go out, and they come in. And I think that as an agency, we have to just accept whatever the industry is telling us at that point. We're not going to make a judgment on that. You know, we're going to embrace every new step of the way that comes along. And so for now, you can go in a million different directions. At some point, it might all come back to one direction. But it will still be you'll still have the ability to go in different ways. It might just be not as many ways to do it. But I think that's just cyclical in terms of our industry. So we'll embrace it for now, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys.